I think it's unfair that a lot of franchises are just doomed to fail. The IP is left to rot away while they continue to pump out their yearly cash grab. It's such a shame this happens to so many different IPs, but hey, who needs a new PvZ game when we've got FIFA 26 on the way? It would be unfair to blame EA for what's happening to PvZ. I know we all love shitting on them, but it really is PopCap's fault. It's confirmed they had basically no involvement in PvZ 2. It was all PopCap's fault to make it a free-to-play mobile game, and for the last 6 years, the only content we've got is the countless PvZ 3 alphas and the PvZ 2 plants, designed by someone with intellectual disability, to put it nicely. They're basically running on the community's hopes and dreams. I've never seen a group of people so dedicated to what is basically a corpse. I mean, they're that starved for content, an EA employee making a forum post is like Christmas to them. But I guess there is some hope. They've started uploading again on their YouTube channel for the first time in 5 years, and there's rumors of a remaster of the original game in development, but that doesn't really excite me. Remasters are cool, but the original game is perfect as it is, and as there's no other content to satisfy the community, most people have taken to just playing the original game over and over. So while it'd be nice, I think a lot of us are tired of the 2009 game. It's been played to death, and unless it comes with a bunch of extra content, it just wouldn't be a great return for the franchise, at least for the hardcore community anyway. But something's better than nothing. Realistically, I never expected any new PvZ games, like ever. I thought PvZ 3 would just be in development hell forever, and we'd continue to get new PvZ 2 plants until the end of time. So it's a nice surprise that someone is still working at PopCap, even if it is just like one guy chained in the basement. But I'm not going to talk about their future. That's something none of us can predict. But when it comes to the past of Plants vs. Zombies, the amount of potential a lot of these titles had was insane. Everyone loved Garden Warfare, but I think if PopCap hadn't sacrificed it in turn of BFN, it could fill a massive void in gaming that we have in the current day, being the casual shooter. Pretty much every modern title wants to be the new hit esports, so they'll add in ranked mode and balance the game around competitive players who will just cry about everything fun being overpowered. So then you end up with an overbalanced game where everything is just underwhelming. Whereas in Garden Warfare, fuck, they barely ever did balance changes. Aside from some characters like Barbecue Corn, who were just the bane of my existence, they never really changed anyone unless they really had to. But we don't get games like that anymore. Marvel Rivals could have been something similar, but they also tried to go for competitive audiences, and I think its player count is reflecting that people are just bored of it. If something like a Garden Warfare 3 released in the modern day, it would satisfy so many people with its casual gameplay. And even on PC in 2025, it still has about 1,000 players, but it's still just as fun as I remembered. The balancing is so crazy that it just becomes fair. If everything is overpowered, then nothing is. They did support Garden Warfare 2 for a long time. It got new events and updates for years after its release. But sadly, I think after BFN, PopCap is done with these shooters. I can only imagine the financial situation over there isn't great. They probably can't afford to develop another shooter and have it fail. It would just send them under if it didn't do well. So unless we see some massive comeback from them, I don't think we're going to be seeing another shooter game. It's not just the PvP that we ended up losing. Garden Ops was a feature in all three of the shooters, and it took a lot of inspiration from the original Tower Defense games. It was a combination of the two genres, and it's mostly forgotten about now. I think most people only care about the multiplayer when they think of Garden Warfare, but I used to play a lot of it. I never really got super into it, but it was a fun time waster, and it never really got any kind of love or expansion. Even during the peak of Garden Warfare 2, there were no updates, no changes, no balancing. It was just the exact same as it was in Garden Warfare, and then in BFN, it was no different. Garden Ops was a solid game mode, not as good as the multiplayer, but I think it comes down to them just not supporting it. It had no improvements in any of the new titles. It was just dated, and it really could have done with some tweaks in Garden Warfare 2 or BFN at least. It's just another example of PopCap mistreating the IP. I get they might want to focus their attention on the multiplayer, but surely it wouldn't have been that hard to do something about it. I want to take a minute just to let you all know I have a Discord server. I only just made it, but I thought it'd be funny to give everybody mod who joins and just let them do whatever they want. So if you're interested, I'll leave the link below. I'm going to give mod to the first 10 or 20 people who join. It might be funny, it might just have the server being nuked in a second. Either way, check it out. Oh, fuck. I really wish EA would just step in and take charge of the franchise at this point. PopCap has proved they can't handle the IP anymore, and with a different team, there is potential for something great. I know a lot of people won't feel the same, but we wouldn't have had Garden Warfare without EA. They weren't just the publishers, they helped a lot with the development of both the games. I doubt PopCap, who had only had experience making simple puzzle games, would have had the capabilities of making a fully fleshed out shooter. And in comparison to a lot of franchises, PvZ's record isn't even that bad. I would say out of the 8 titles, 6 of them them are overall solid games. It's just that the most ambitious projects, BFN and PvZ3, which spent a lot of money and time in development, were the biggest failures. Both of these games came one after the other, and it's really hard to operate on a loss for that long. So they'd end up making a lot of misguided decisions. At the first sign of failure, they just decided to start laying off employees, and it did decrease costs, but it shrunk the company so much, with entire departments just being fired. The entire PvZ Heroes team, BFN, and the original PvZ2 team. The future of these games was just decided, so it was down to PvZ3 to make them some good money. But surprisingly, it sure is hard to develop a game when you have no staff at your company. It really is a shame they just cut the development of BFN too soon. While it wasn't the best game ever, I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people did. I thought some of the new character additions were good. 80s is probably one of the best in the franchise. The story mode was really solid. It was way better than Garden Warfare's. And then Battle Arena was good. They even added it into Garden Warfare 2 as a special event. But I guess PopCap didn't see the potential. They ended up cutting their losses shortly after release, with the intention of adding lots of characters. I think they only added about 4 before they stopped. And this seems to be a really common theme with them. I'm not sure if they just have too high expectations. They seem to back down on a lot of these projects really quickly. Not only BFN, but PvZ Heroes. It was a mobile card game. I really enjoyed it, but it was just abandoned not long after the release. Which this one I can't excuse. It's a mobile card game with tons of in-app purchases and ads. Are you really telling me this wasn't making money? Surely the team for it wasn't that big. And from what I remember, the game was fairly popular. It even has quite a lot of players now, so it had to be making a lot of money, or at least enough to continue supporting it. Whoever's making these decisions over there really has no clue what they're doing. Especially for some reason, PvZ Heroes just got its first update in years, and it's just some balance changes. If you're gonna update the game after this long, come back with something big, not just some balance changes. That's not gonna make you any money, and that's not gonna hold over the community. Just put that effort into something good. If I was to try and question all of PopCap's bad decisions, I'd be here all day. Something more interesting is the cancelled PvZ games, the biggest being named Project Hot Tub. It was axed fairly early into development, but some of the test footage and concept art still exists, and it really looks amazing. It's completely different to all of the other games, with you playing as just this normal guy and having a buddy mechanic with one of the plants. You can swing a chomper around or have a sunflower follow you into dark areas. It just looked like it had so much gameplay potential. And of course, we won't know if the game was actually good or not, but it does look like a lot of fun, and it's really sad we never saw it release. From what I can see, it wasn't super far into development, but this definitely was not cheap. Whilst choppy, the base for a lot of the animations and mechanics are there, and what is there looks good. It's such a shame this never saw the light of day. In better news, PvZ3's future is starting to look promising. After countless alpha releases, all met with distaste from basically everyone, I think PopCap is finally realizing that people don't want a generic kids plastic looking mobile base builder game. They want something more like PvZ1. So they've released 3 different concept arts, allowing the community to vote on which one PvZ3 should use. This comic pop art looking one was the winner, and it does look great. The gameplay itself doesn't look as good, but this is just built on the existing PvZ3 base, so I imagine it's going to be made from the ground up with this new style. It's nice, and I respect them a lot for doing this. But really, how long can this go on for? It's been years. I even read somewhere that PvZ3 was in development before Modern Day released in PvZ2, so that's like 10 years ago. I think that was from Reddit though, so take that with a grain of salt. I just don't see them having enough funds to keep going this way. PvZ2 is basically their only successful game right now, and I don't know if that's enough to pay for the constant reworks of PvZ3. I don't mean to be overly negative, I just think it's unfair they keep getting the community's hopes up so much. They just need to be honest, say it how it is. But it's not always their fault, I guess. I remember when Garden Warfare 2 started getting a lot of PC players, and for some reason, the community thought this meant we would start seeing new updates and maybe even a new game. Sorry guys, I think you're being a bit too optimistic there. I think the days of the shooters are over. One of the weirdest things to me is the existence of the Plants vs Zombies comic, which they are still making. I'm not going to read it or anything, I can only guess it's not very good. But why does it even exist? What's the point in killing your own franchise but not releasing any games at all? But then you still make a comic? This should be the least of their priorities right now. Nobody is interested in a comic for an abandoned franchise. It's probably cheap to produce, but it just seems like such a waste of time. If you're going to abandon Plants vs Zombies, then just do it. Going onto their website, it felt like exploring an abandoned building. It's completely barren, with few mentions of the newer titles. Hell, they don't even have PvZ3 or BFN listed on their homepage. I don't know if they're just not proud of these titles or what, but they don't even list them as being games they've made. read. They sometimes do blog updates and social posts on the site, and I saw this use of this one quote they say a lot, taking a step back to move forwards, and it's pretty funny. They use this methodology a lot, but there's only so many steps back you can take until you're way too far away. At this point, for the last decade, all they've done is take step backs. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it wasn't as bland as a lot of the PvZ2 is dead video essays you see. I just wanted to talk about my feelings towards the franchise quickly, as I do have an attachment to it, unlike some people. Anyway, thanks guys.